What is going on, Jets fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today, I'd like to get into a new offensive coordinator candidate for the New York Jets and potentially the new favorite for the position. So a name that's been mentioned a ton is Nick Caley, and we'll talk about him in a second. I still think that he is in the race for the position, but let's talk about the latest add to the list, which is former Lions pass game coordinator Tanner Engstrand. So according to reports, he is firmly on the Jets' radar for an offensive coordinator position, and many league sources think he will get the job. So Nick Caley for a long time was considered the front runner for the position, and then something changed. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator position opened after we saw Liam Cohen take the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching job.
Duval.
I think the thought is that Nick Caley's going to end up there, and that's where he's going to end up going. Now, maybe he still ends up with the Jets, and I'd be okay with the Jets adding Nick Caley, but I really do think that Tanner Engstrand is a really good candidate for this Jets position. So he rose up the ranks pretty quickly with Detroit. He started as an offensive assistant in 2020, then to a quality control coach the following year, then the tight end coach and pass game coordinator. And the last 2 years, he's exclusively been the pass game coordinator only, so more of a focus on that. Technically 3 years in the position, 2 as only the pass game coordinator. And the Detroit Lions offense has clearly had a lot of success throwing the football. Yes, they have 2 great running backs and they put an emphasis on the run game, but how can we dismiss what has been done through the air with Jared Goff during his time in Detroit? Now, the concern or the pushback that you'll get if you bring up Tanner Engstrand's name is, well, why didn't the Detroit Lions hire him to be their offensive coordinator? Put a pin in that for a second. And then the other one is, well, why didn't he go with Ben Johnson to Chicago? And the rumblings are that he wanted to call plays and he would not get that opportunity in Chicago, as Ben Johnson will continue to call plays as their head football coach. But someone that he is heavily influenced by is John Morton, who got the job as the Detroit offensive coordinator. He was the Jets OC in 2017 for 1 year. Todd Bowles canned him because he thought he threw the ball too much. And now he is the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. But here's Tanner Engstrand talking about what kind of offense he comes from and some influence that he's got from not only John Morton, but also Jim Harbaugh.
You know, so I think Ben's been in several different backgrounds, and I've been in a couple different ones. And really, my initial background, I would say, really is more in a West Coast offense version. Just going back to my first year in coaching in 2005 for Jim Harbaugh, and Johnny Moe, Coach Morton, was our pass game coordinator and receivers coach that year. So, being the GA there, just kind of learned that's where I started with that stuff, and then, being in a couple different places, evolving into, just iterations of that offense, I would say, and Ben's been, I think, in a handful of them, down in Miami and here, with Coach Bev and all that stuff. So I think it's good to be able to draw from a bunch of different areas, of his experiences, and then, I can bring some stuff to the table, and everybody just kind of puts it, bring it all together. So there's a lot of different experience, I guess you could say, in that way.
I think John Morton's a good OC. I thought he did a good job with the Jets all those years ago. Granted, he didn't have a great quarterback. He didn't have a ton of weapons, but all things considered, they had some relatively explosive plays, more so than they did this past year. And when Josh McCown was healthy in that offense, they were fairly productive. I'm not saying they were world beaters by any stretch of the imagination, but they were a fine NFL offense. And, for me with Tanner Engstrand, it doesn't bother me that he got passed over for the Detroit Lions job. I think it's just that Dan Campbell really has a lot of love and respect for John Morton and wanted to put him in that position. And he has more experience, so maybe that's the difference. Tanner doesn't have that experience yet, but I do think he is a good candidate to make the jump for offensive coordinator. And in fact, Dan Campbell spoke a lot about Tanner Engstrand in the past, and he has given him glowing reviews as well. Here's what Campbell said about him and what he adds to the Detroit Lions offense.
Talking to Tanner today, changed his role on the staff. He put him more in that full-time
pass game coordinator role after kind of maybe a trial run last year plus. How have you seen him grow as a coach, and what is he bringing to, I guess, the weekly process?
Yeah, I think exactly what we were hoping for, Ben and myself, and it's, he's bringing a lot more ideas to the pass game in general, and I think really from the game plan aspect is where you really see it, as well as, man, the details of the route with the receivers, the tight ends, the backs, because he kind of works in those rooms too. And then we go out, we do the walkthroughs, we do practice, and so that he's got a hand in all that too. So I see a lot of growth. And if you're asking me, what I've really seen over a 3-year period is the growth in vision and game plan. That to me is where, okay, here we go. And I think he was always a bright guy. He has good ideas, but I think him being able to learn from, what's been around here. But like John Morton, man, Johnny's a superstar now, and there's a number of things that he did for us last year that are things that we've kept, and I really felt like that helped Tanner as well. And he took a lot of that, and he learned from that, and he's grown from that, and so he's in a good spot. He's an asset for us.
Seems like a glowing review to me. And again, there are concerns because he's never done it before, but I think he is absolutely a candidate that is worthy of an offensive coordinator position. It's a shame he didn't get one in Detroit for his own sake, but again, clearly Dan Campbell really likes John Morton, as we could hear in the clip that I just played. And he didn't want to go with Ben Johnson, who he worked with, because, again, he wants that opportunity to call plays. So it was either Detroit or somewhere else. And him following Aaron Glenn to the New York Jets, I think it makes a lot of sense. And we've heard names like Mark Brunell and Clint Kubiak, who is going to Seattle, Nick Caley, who likely will end up in Tampa Bay, is my assumption. I'm in on Tanner Engstrand. That's a name that's been brought up a lot by Jets fans as a potential candidate. I personally thought he was going to get the Detroit Lions job, but with him hitting the market, I think that is absolutely a candidate that I would be interested in as the offensive coordinator of this team. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. Are you in on Tanner Engstrand? Let me know. I'm Matt O'Leary. I'll catch you next time.